So first of all, let's talk about virtual augmented reality. So we have been voted as the #1 virtual reality company in India and SAARC region. We are very, very proud of this award that we got from Barco System, which is a Belgian company. So as part of our complete virtual reality workflow, we offer 360-degree immersive applications. So mind you, these are totally immersive applications where a person can look down, he can look up, he can look sideways, and everywhere he has a virtual world around him or her for that matter. And not just that, it's a fully immersive application which not just allows you to see the world around you, but also interact with that world. So the applications that we build or the content that we build are not 360 videos where you are a passive viewer. We build interactive applications where a user can do things, where a user can interact with the virtual world. Some of the very, very key applications of virtual and augmented reality that we are working on. The #1 is design for engineering and product. So today, if you have to design a product, you can't see the product until it is fabricated or manufactured. And now that's a very expensive thing to do. If something changes in the design, then the product has to be remanufactured, and that's a very expensive thing to do. So we have a solution using virtual reality, how to do designing using virtual reality for projects, and I'll talk about some of those areas of work. Second thing is use of virtual reality for training. Now training is something that we think of as classroom training, which is people yawning and not really focused on the content. Virtual reality is really revolutionizing training. And some of the very, very excellent applications we are working on for virtual reality training, which I'll share with you. The third thing is also marketing. A lot of us, we are trying to sell our products, we are trying to get funding from other organizations, even if you are a research customer, even if you are a research organization. Engaging your prospective buyers or funding agencies by giving them a proper experience of the final output is a very, very important thing. If you're trying to sell a car, how can we engage a customer by giving him a very immersive experience so that he wants to buy the car, so that our conversion issues are increasing. It has been proven that worldwide that use of virtual reality increases your conversion ratios substantially, and that's something that is very, very exciting application of virtual reality as well. Now, in terms of the products, we do complete turnkey virtual reality solutions, which includes the software, the hardware, the content, as well as the whole sort of consulting around it. In terms of just to give you a high-level idea, in terms of the form factors, there are really multiple form factors in which virtual reality systems come these days. Traditionally, customers have used Powerwalls and caves, which is something that still continues to be very popular in some of the large corporates and research customers. There's a lot of desktop virtual reality systems also, as well as mobile virtual reality. So now all of these types of virtual reality solutions have their own advantages, disadvantages, cost, functionality, trade-offs. So what we would like to be able to do is, once we understand if this is something of interest for you, we'll understand what kind of budgets you are looking at, what kind of functionality you are looking for, and then we'll be able to design the right solution for you. We'll be able to recommend the right kind of form factor that works for you and for your application. The other thing that's very important when you talk about virtual reality, like I mentioned, is interaction. Interaction for a lot of people is something that we do naturally. Like even I'm talking right now, moving my hands, and that's something very natural as a human being to do. When we work with equipment, let's say I'm working in a factory, I need to operate some kind of machinery, then also I need to interact. Now, to do the same thing in virtual reality, there is specialized force feedback as well as interaction devices. We work on integrating those devices for you in the applications, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. So we do turnkey software, content and integration services as part of our virtual reality solutions. Also, we work with certain hardware providers, and most of those products are now listed on the government e-marketplace. So if you are a government customer, you can just go ahead and buy it directly off the government e-marketplace without going through the regular tendering process. So to cover some of the very prestigious projects we have done in the virtual reality area, The first is this virtual prototyping center at Garden Reach Shipbuilders and Engineers in Kolkata. So Garden Reach is into shipbuilding work. They get projects from the Navy like frigates and destroyers that they're supposed to manufacture. But before you can manufacture a frigate or a destroyer, you need to design the whole solution. So imagine designing the whole frigate, which has say 200 to 300 compartments. Each compartment would serve a particular function. Then each of those compartments put together with all the equipment and the technologies has to come together. Now this is something that is very, very challenging and a very, very complex piece of engineering. In terms of designing such kind of a product, required almost 2 to 3 years worth of collaboration between the end buyer, which is the Navy, vis-a-vis the designers, which is Garden Reach Shipbuilders. So it's a very, very cumbersome process. The Navy people used to come to the Garden Reach Shipbuilders, go through the physical prototypes. So for each compartment, Garden Reach would have built a physical compartment so that they can inspect that compartment physically and then decide if that is to their liking or if any changes are to be done. Now mind you, if any changes are to be done, then again that whole thing has to be redone and new prototypes have to be created. So this is a very, very iterative, very, very long process, and as you can imagine, it's very, very expensive. Using virtual reality, the same thing can be done now digitally. Instead of creating a physical prototype, now we have a virtual prototype. And the complete digital design review as well as approval process now happens in virtual reality. One of the key things about virtual reality is you get this 1:1 scale visualization of what output you get. Plus, our virtual reality solutions, we allow you to interact with the system. So if you want to see whether a particular person will be able to get through a doorway or not, so there is a full body tracking system that we will integrate. If you need to measure whether somebody will be able to move through a particular area or not, or if you want to do line of sight analysis, whether I will be able to see a particular object or not, all of those tools are available with our virtual reality solutions. And in the end, the exciting thing is that GRSE reported a 15% reduction in cost, but an 80% reduction in time that it took for the whole design review process. So that's a huge saving for a project like a frigate, which runs into thousands of crores. And just by investing about 10 crore rupees into this technology, the customer is able to save huge amounts of time. The Navy is able to get the product faster as well as in better quality. The second solution is training solutions. We've been doing a lot of these training solutions using virtual reality. So traditionally, training has been more passive. So we have two ways of doing training. Typically, either you do a classroom training where the person is sitting and there's an instructor who is talking. Now the problem with those kinds of training is that there is less engagement. The students are not engaged, the trainees are not very engaged with the whole training process. But virtual reality allows us to save that, to prevent that kind of issue. The second thing is that you have the traditional training is a lab-based training where a person gets to work with the equipment that is going to operate in the real world. Imagine doing that for somebody who is going into the SAARC glacier, right? Is there any way that we can put a person, a physical trainee who is not trained to work in a very, very risky environment into that area where he is going to be exposed to that kind of risks during the training program, and he is not even trained for that activity. Now, virtual reality helps bridge this gap. I mean, it's very, very exciting because virtual reality allows you to now take care of not just providing the same content, but in a more interactive and engaging manner. So it is not like there is a person who's briefing what is to be done, he's talking about it, and the student, whether he learns or not, there is no correlation between the two. It is totally based on the student's grasping power. In virtual reality, the student is asked to do the same operations that he will be doing in the real world. So this project that we did for SAARC in DRDO in Chandigarh, who are creating this very interesting technology for the defense forces, they are using this technology to train our Indian soldiers who are going to go into these very, very inclement weather conditions in the high altitudes of the Himalayas, where the weather is also very inclement and also the enemy is also there too, so you have to really manage the whole situation properly, and without training, the risk of life is very, very high. So with virtual reality, we've given a turnkey solution for them, which has increased their effectiveness by 75%. So the learning effectiveness with virtual reality is 75% higher, and in terms of cost, it is 30% cheaper. So even if you take the whole investment into the virtual reality system, they still save cost from sending people to those kind of training camps and training them there. Now, the third thing, which is I think the most critical, is that now the student gets to train in a risk-free environment. There is no accidents that can happen during the training process. Now, I gave an example of this defense situation, but the same thing applies for industrial training. Let's say you have this power plant equipment which costs millions of dollars, and you need to train some operator to work on that kind of equipment. Now you have two options. One is to have the person work on that equipment while your factory is running, right? And that's very expensive to do, right? Plus, what if there are accidents that can happen? What if the person makes a mistake? With virtual reality, the beautiful thing is that you can simulate these mistakes. You can create an environment where synthetically you introduce an error into a fault into the system and see how the person will respond. That's the thing that I feel is very, very cool as part of virtual reality. And finally, our software generates an assessment report of how the person performed at the end of the training session. So it is not just a training session, but it's also an evaluation session on how the person performs. So it's very, very exciting. And today we are doing projects for safety environments in the construction industry. People need to put on their safety gear. We are working in the warehousing industry. People operating power plants, people operating very, very heavy equipment. All of those people are now working with us to develop these training solutions which are virtual reality. And saving lots of costs, saving lots of headache, as well as really reducing any kind of risk that might be involved during the training process. Third application here that I picked up is some recent work that we've done with the IITs. Very, very exciting. The IITs, as you know, are the leading engineering education research establishments in the country. For them, the challenge was that they have specific kind of research that they are working on. In case of IIT Kharagpur, they had some industry-sponsored projects where they were training, developing trainers for safety environments. For people working in heavy industry, how to do training for them. So now with virtual reality solution that we've given them, they are able to train their people, they are able to develop new products and new solutions for this training activities. So we've done the complete turnkey project for them. We've given them the hardware, the software, the training, so that their students can go off and develop these very, very cool training applications. IIT Hyderabad has very similar applications where they are working on industrial domains. IIT Roorkee has a very interesting applications where they are using virtual reality for tourism industry, interestingly. So in Roorkee, specifically the whole Uttarakhand area, you might be knowing there are a lot of dams which are built. However, the value which can be derived from dams is not really visible in many cases. So what IIT Roorkee is doing is they are taking up this project where they scan the whole dam area through a digital scanner, bring that data into virtual reality, and in virtual reality, convert that whole area into a tourism spot. And once those tourism plans are approved, then the same thing can be implemented on the ground. So this allows the various decision makers, whether it is the political parties or the political people or the government, as well as the final stakeholders, the hydropower corporations, to come together on a common platform which is virtual reality based, which is digital, to come and discuss these various plans, approve them, and then go ahead and do that. Because otherwise, if you do the plan, if you do the execution without understanding of what the output might be, then there's a lot of risk of project failure. So this is something very, very exciting that we've done for IIT Roorkee, and a very, very beautiful project that we've done. So I mentioned that recently there's been a lot of excitement in the virtual reality area from various industries, specifically manufacturing industries. You might have heard about this term that's called a digital twin. It's a very commonly used word by the industry where instead of doing physical work in terms of not just the product design but the complete manufacturing cycle, more and more customers and heavy industries want to now use digital technology. space, and that's where digital twinning is coming in. So we have a very, very beautiful set of solutions in that area, and if this is something that you are interested in, we can have a longer discussion about our digital twinning solutions. As part, just to give you a high level idea, we do all the way from virtual prototyping using virtual reality to project monitoring as well as intelligent manufacturing, to training systems, to digital field workers. So workers who are able to use augmented reality technology for doing mission critical applications, mission critical tasks, and then finally integrated operations center. So the whole solution gamut VizExperts offers for digital solutions. And we can talk more about it if this is of interest to you. On the other side, we realized that when we started doing virtual reality, a lot of customers just found it very difficult to use virtual reality. So as an innovative company, we thought, how we can help them. Specifically customers who are creating virtual reality content, right? They want to showcase their virtual reality content, but then carrying virtual reality to other places is very, very difficult. So we created this beautiful thing called the VizExperts Virtual Reality Flight Kit. This is one ruggedized box which allows you to carry the necessary hardware, software and accessories all in one box to anywhere. It takes about half an hour to set up the whole thing. So you are going to a trade show where you want to showcase things, or you are going for an educational training seminar where you want to show virtual reality to your customers or to your users. You just carry one of these things along with you and put it together so that the whole session can be done. Very, very nice product, rugged, completely pre-packaged solution. Nothing extra is required once you have the VR Flight Kit. So I've talked a little bit about our virtual reality solutions, which includes clearly the three areas of work, which includes the design solutions for engineering as well as product design. The second is the training solutions for industrial training solutions, industrial training as well as safety training applications. And the third is marketing, wherein you have solutions for engaging your customers or giving them a better experience about your product through virtual reality.